Welcome back. The Trump administration pushing for big change on tax and health care policy as the threat of a government shutdown looms. This coming as a new Washington Post ABC poll shows Americans are split on the president's performance so far. 35% of those polled say that he is doing better than they expected. Another 35% saying he is doing worse than they expected. Joining me right now is Ohio Governor and the author of Two Paths, America Divided or United. John Kasich is with us.
I wonder about that. America united or divided, huh?
Yeah.
Did you see that poll?
Exactly right.
I mean, it's unbelievable.
That basically underscores the whole reason you're writing this book.
Well, it's not just about politics. It's about my observations of what's been happening to our culture, Maria. And, you know, we're not treating each other with respect. We're divided. We only consume that we agree with. And this is just not the way our country works best. And I don't mean just politics. I mean everything. Look at the United. I mean, how the heck could they have treated somebody like that on that airplane?
Incredible.
So, you know, we see it across the board, whether it's sports, whether it's entertainment, whether it's the media. I mean, it's an issue. So we need to assume control, each one of us, because we all matter and we're all powerful. Believe me, even if you're turning off the lights at night and you're not the CEO, you matter.
Yeah, I want to ask you about that because you write in the book that we all have a responsibility, and I want to talk about that in terms of what we should be doing. But let me get you to grade the president's first 100 days
Too
first.
early, incomplete.
Incomplete.
You know, as I like to say, when I became governor, I had some rocky times in the beginning, and my wife came to me one day. She said, "John, you're the governor, you're the father of Ohio. Why don't you act like it?" And so it created a change in me. And I think the president, and I told the president that when I was in the Oval Office with him, what my wife had said to me, it takes a while to adjust and to get strong, and we all want him to do well. And so when he does well, we all ought to say that he's doing well and not be, you know, siloed. And if he does poorly, we all have to say, no, we don't like that policy. I mean, that's the way America works best.
He has signed in more executive orders or new laws than his predecessor. But as far as the big legislative issues, we're still talking about health care bill getting done, and we're still talking about tax reform getting done.
See,
but
I think
a major victory is Gorsuch on the Supreme Court.
Yeah, I think so. But look, what they really should do on health care is they got to involve the Democrats. If they don't, look, Obamacare passed. It was just one party, and what happens? It's not sustainable. If the Republicans turn around and do the same thing, it's not sustainable. They got to work together, Maria. We're talking about people's health care and a good plan to reform this Obamacare, because it is, as you know, being a business person, you know what's happening to the exchanges. They need to be fixed, and the Democrats have to be willing to work, and the Republicans have to ask them to participate.
And you're urging congressional leaders to basically adopt Medicaid reforms instead of just pushing to replace Obamacare entirely.
Yeah,
Let me get you to explain that, because just a few minutes ago we had on HHS Secretary Tom Price on the program. Listen to what he said about Medicaid. I want to get your reaction.
Because everybody understands in the majority that the system right now isn't working. And they know that we need a Medicaid system that works for the Medicaid recipient. We need an exchange system for the individual and small group market that works, that's bringing down premiums, that's making it so that folks can actually see their own doctor and get the kind of treatment that they want and that they need. And currently that's not the case.
So, Governor...
Well, I agree with everything he said. We need to reform all of this, and it can be done. I, along with other Republican governors, I'm talking to some Democratic governors about a program that will reform the system. I mean, Medicaid is important in our country, and it has to be, we have to reform it. We have to improve it.
And your state alone has added 700,000 people to the Medicaid program. Why do you think this is so important?
Well, you know why? Because they didn't have any health care. So, you know, what do you want to do with the mentally ill, the drug addicted, and the chronically ill? You can't just not treat them, or they live in the emergency room, which drives all of our costs up. But see, our Medicaid program is growing at only 3%, and the per capita increases are flat. So we're managing the program. And I want to reform Medicaid, and there's a way in which you can do it to give us more control, more ability to lower the pharmaceutical costs. But I also believe we need reform of the exchange. And so it's not like, no, I don't want any changes, but I also want to tell you, I'm not going to sit around and let 700,000 people get cut off. Where are they going to go?
Good for you. But, I mean, you say he's got to involve the Democrats. If he keeps getting obstructionism from the other side, and they're pushing back on everything, they even pushed back on Gorsuch, who we know a couple of years ago they all were in love with.
I think they made a terrible mistake on that. It was ridiculous what they did on Gorsuch.
What is he going to do if he doesn't have support?
You got to work it, Maria. You have to work it. And look, we didn't get here overnight. Think about how divided that place has been for the last 20 years, and it's not going to be fixed overnight. You just have to be patient, and you just simply have to have a thicker skin, and it isn't going to be easy to change.
Yeah.
But it's also us. If we're yelling at the people that represent us, and we say, don't you compromise, that's a horrible thing, or don't you work with anybody else, and you do exactly what I want, because what people are doing is, look, Maria,
and Tom Perez is adding a few expletives to
here's
that.
What your sweet mother always told you. Keep your ears open, Maria. Listen to what other people say, right? Don't shut your mind to other people, and we're doing too much of this. And I keep referring to United for this reason. That man on that airplane was not a widget. We need to love our neighbors as we love ourselves. We need to bring ourselves together. We need to fight the drug problem in the neighborhood. We need to mentor kids in the neighborhood. We need to help the veterans coming home to get jobs in the neighborhood. That's what will unite us and drive change to the top.
You mentioned this in the book, and you also mentioned the 2016 election, where you looked back. What was your big lesson from the 2016 election?
Well, my lesson was it was crazy. I mean, people yelling and screaming and insulting. I mean, that's not America. And you can't. And you know, for me, what was the lesson for me? I'm very happy with the way I conducted myself. I didn't go out and yell and scream and attack people.
Yeah.
And maybe I didn't get the attention. But you know what? Get plenty of attention now.
Yeah, you are.